I'm truly sorry for putting the people of Illinois through this. I tried to do my best to serve the people of Illinois. I'm not perfect. He said he's most proud of being a lawmaker and that he's proud of being a good husband and father, and said as well, quote, "I ask respectfully that you let me take care of Shirley in the days ahead," that is his wife, "and that you let me spend my final days with my family." Obviously, a lengthy prison sentence for an 83-year-old man, 7.5 years behind bars at this point, and so much more to come. We're going to get reaction from the prosecution as they come down from the courtroom, and more potentially from Michael Madigan himself and the defense as we try to walk with them as they exit the court. But of course, this has been a saga, looking at Michael Madigan as one of the most powerful politicians Illinois has ever seen, with a vice grip on power in Springfield, now fallen to a jail cell in federal prison for 7.5 years. Of course, we're going to stay right here, and we'll bring you back everything that we get as soon as we do. Okay. Live at the Dirksen Federal Courthouse, Mark Rivera, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Mark. We'll get a lot of reaction as we now know this verdict, or this sentencing, and Michael Madigan also spoke in the courtroom. We'll hear more about that. But we have Laura Washington right now.
Yes, she's joining us in by phone. Laura, you are...
We don't have Laura.
We don't have Laura.
Can we talk to our guests here now? Let's do that. Okay, we've got a panel of experts. We're going to call you guys experts. Former federal prosecutor Chris Hotaling and former Illinois Representative Jim Durkin. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. You've been here since about 1 o'clock, yes, as we've waited for this this verdict. So thank you. Chris, I want to start with you.
Sure.
As the judge talked, he first started talking about Michael Madigan as a family man, as a kind man, and then he really laid into him and said he'd lied there in the court. What is your reaction, first of all, to that discussion from the judge and then this sentence as well?
So that's a pretty typical way for a judge to conduct a sentencing. The judge has a requirement to follow certain statutory provisions that Congress has laid out that every federal judge is supposed to consider when imposing a sentence. And so he did that. And one of those factors is the nature and characteristics of the defendant. Mr. Madigan, you're a great guy. You've had all this service to your community, to the state, but then comes back around and has to figure out also looking at the offense. And when looking at the offense, imposed a very significant sentence of 7.5 years. For a man of Speaker Madigan's age, this is a meaningful, very long, very serious sentence that sends a strong message, not only to him, but to the community, about what public corruption does to our society and to our state.
And Jim, your feedback and your thoughts on this sentence, any surprises on the length?
I'm surprised with the length of the sentence based on his age, and while there was a lot of mitigation, it seemed that the judge was clearly sending a message to public officials and elected officials in Illinois that we're not going to tolerate this anymore. We don't care how old you are. The fact is, you can lead a great life, you're a wonderful father, grandfather, great man in the community, but the fact is, when you make a choice to cross that line, there are consequences that will be had. And in this particular case, the judge ruled that $300 million, or was it $400 million, was part of the grift with Commonwealth Edison. But what I find even more saddened by, and I think even more disturbed by, is the wake that he left of the people whose lives are never going to be the same, the ComEd 4, the people that were involved, that were close to him, who are now either federal convicts, people who had to testify, and the people in his community that relied upon honest government, and the people in the state of Illinois who demanded honest government. How many times do we have to see this over the past 5 years? It's a defendant walking in, walking out of the federal courthouse who's a member of the Illinois government or county government who still doesn't understand the rules of the game. You've got to play fair and you've got to follow the rules, and they still don't get it.
Jim, I was going to ask you that. You have been involved in Illinois politics for some time. We have sat here and brought breaking news like this of former governors, lawmakers, council members here in Chicago. Do you think this finally sends a message? 7.5 years, and as Chris mentioned, a long time for a person who is 80. Does this send a message that politicians in this state need to stop breaking the law?
They have to do something, and I think in the past there has been reactions have been, I think, rather tame through blue ribbon panels to say that we're going to address the convictions of Representative or Senator so-and-so. The legislature needs to study this. and really learn hard about this. Really look at what happened. But more importantly, they should still realize that members of the Illinois General Assembly and other elected offices are low-hanging fish for federal prosecutors and the FBI, and that's going to continue. So you can't legislate ethics, good behavior, but that should be the warning to people who are in elected office. Don't cross that line. We're instructed, we would have former U.S. attorneys come to my caucus talking left and right about recent rulings, going down what are possible situations you might be confronted with. And a lot of that stuff's in the gray area. We just say, stay away from the gray area, walk away. And some people just don't get it. But Mike Madigan thought he was bulletproof, and everybody called him the Teflon Don down in Springfield for years. And he believed he was.
All right. Well, Jim, we're going to get back to you in just a minute. We do have our political analyst, Laura Washington, on the phone right now. Laura, are you with us there?
I am.
So, Laura, what are your initial reactions to this sentence?
Well, it's clear from everything the judge said, and what you see in history is that by him going on the stand and defending himself as a witness, he perjured himself. And his attorneys tried to make the case that he did not lie, but the judge took that into account. And that's why it's always so risky to do that, particularly when there's such a massive amount of evidence, including a lot of tapes, including a lot of firsthand evidence to contradict the lies. I think I'm not so sure if it's going to make a difference. I think Jim Durk is right. We do need more legislation. We need better laws, but there have been many opportunities in the state legislature and the Chicago City Council to bring along stronger, tougher ethics laws, and they go nowhere because the politicians that are assigned to review those laws and pass them are reluctant to do that. They protect each other, their colleagues. You saw all the letters that came into Mike Madigan on his behalf. Many of those letters came from his fellow politicians, his colleagues, his former colleagues, people who he had worked with, who claimed that he was an honest man and that he would never commit the crimes that he was convicted of. And that tells you something about the attitudes of folks in Springfield, of politicians, and the point, too, about the fact that Michael Madigan got caught. No one ever believed that he would ever get caught because he was so powerful, because he was so careful. But that should send a message. If Michael Madigan can get caught and get this kind of a sentence, that means it's fair game on everyone else.
Laura, Mike Madigan today apologized in court to the state of Illinois. What do you think about that?
Well, that's the first time I've seen Mike Madigan be humble and take responsibility for his actions, but it came very, very late in the game. It only came at the end of a very long hearing after all the evidence had been reviewed. He had opportunities before, first of all, to be truthful on the stand. He failed to do that. I think it was a little bit too late. I think perhaps voters appreciate the fact that at least he's apologizing, but I don't think it did anything to help his sentence today.
And Laura, the panel, we've been discussing off the air, just kind of comparing this case to the Ed Burke trial and his sentence. Can you compare the two? And if you're surprised that, this was the amount that Mr. Madigan received more in terms of sentencing, more years compared to Ed Burke?
Well, I think a lot of people, particularly Mike Madigan's supporters and family, were hoping that he would be able to take the same path that Ed Burke did. Ed Burke's also in his 80s. He had a voluminous number of people write letters and supports, very similar to what you saw with Madigan. The judge in that case took those letters into account and actually, during her deliberations, said that they didn't make a difference. The fact that he had been a public servant, the fact that he had helped a lot of people didn't matter. The judge today said that he appreciated that and he did take that into account, but that did not absolve him. I think he said something to the effect that good deeds do not absolve you from the bad deeds, and so he still had to pay for his crimes. So that may also send a message that no matter what you do that's good as an elected official, you have to be straight, and you cannot break the law. You cannot do the crimes, and you cannot use your public service as an excuse or something to hide behind.
Laura, stay with us. Chris and Jim also stay with us. Our coverage is going to continue. Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. We have a lot to discuss and a lot of reactions still to come.
That is right. Still ahead at 4:30, what we're learning about the man killed in yesterday's House